So since I'm on Pinterest all the time, that pin it button is my save button. Anything and everything I see when I'm online, I'm like, oh, save this, pin this, share this. And when I hit that and nothing comes up, or an image that is tiny, or just words, something that is not going to be exciting for my audience, then I just move on and I've forgotten you and you've lost the chance for me to share your stuff, or anyone who's actively using Pinterest to share your stuff. So I cannot express enough for your clients or for you, make sure that your content is pinnable, and we'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. But that is like #1 mistake that smaller brands especially are making. So make it easy for other people to share for you. What that means is create new content often. If you're a blogger, for every blog post you should have a pinnable image. For every product you're trying to sell, you should have a pinnable image. Pinnable images are vertical. I don't have my regular slideshow, but normally I have an example of what it looks like. If you look on Pinterest and you're looking at a feed of all these beautiful vertical images, hidden in there, a small one is just going to get completely overlooked. So vertical is definitely best. 2 by 3 is what they suggest. They will let you have longer pins, but they will collapse them, and then there's a button that says expand this pin. I think it's unnecessary to have those super long ones personally, and I know a lot of people complain about it, and we'll stop following people who constantly use the super long ones. So the 2 to 3 rule is my go-to. I usually do 750 pixels by 1105, I think is what, 725. On Canva, they have like a go-to sizer that's like Pinterest, and it's that size, and that's what I always use. Warm colors play better, oranges and reds over like blues or too much white. Natural lighting does better. No faces, so if you're trying to sell if you're a photographer and you're trying to sell family poses, then yes, there's going to be faces in them. But if you're trying to sell a hair clip, you want to cut off the face, because I'm not pinning this pretty girl, I'm pinning the content you're trying to show me, right? So pictures that focus on faces don't usually play well. Yeah?
I have a question. I'm not very skilled at Pinterest. I played with it when I first started. But more recently, some of the blog posts that are actually interviews with other people, so you're saying even those faces?
No, well, here's the thing. Your content is your content, right? So if what you're selling is a person or a conversation with a person, then it's okay to show those. If everything you post is just a face, it's it's kind of mundane. But what I think is important when it's not obvious what your pin is to have an overlay and have a title on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that's really easy to do in PicMonkey or in Canva. I'm sorry, I keep moving.
No, you're good.
Okay. So lifestyle plays way better than product on Pinterest. So if I'm selling a shirt, a girl wearing the shirt on the street is going to sell it way better on Pinterest than a shirt on a hanger. So definitely lifestyle over product. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and take a gazillion pictures, because that's hard for a lot of us to do. Bloggers, most of the successful bloggers that I know don't do their own photography for Pinterest. They use stock photos. And then they'll just put a 2-line title of what the content is in the picture.
That's good.
So rich pins is a relatively new, it's probably like a year old now. And what that is Pinterest now allows you to make a permanent description on your pins. If you go to Pinterest's business page, I can't remember off the top of my head the URL, but look, I don't have to. It was very late when I made this. So rich pins, and again, I should have an example. In fact, can I pull up Pinterest from here?
Totally.
I didn't sign into the Wi-Fi.
Oh.
I'll show you guys after. But a rich pin basically is, on Pinterest you see the image and then you see a description. And that description is up to 500 characters of what the pin is. With rich pins, there's a second description. So it's the image, the rich pin description, and then the description of whoever pinned it can change it. And that rich pin stops anyone else from being able to change that description. So you can choose your SEO keywords and have it be permanently attached to that pin. And then I can be like, oh, I totally love this. Like, and I can write whatever I want to write in the description if it's not going to help you, you know, be searchable.
So does that translate when you're, when you click the pin button from the website?
Yeah.
Is it pulling that information from the URL or from the Pinterest account?
The description, you mean?
Yes.
The description on a rich pin comes from the back end on your website. So, like with WordPress, when I put a picture in WordPress, I'll put as the ultimate title on the picture what I want that description to be.
Okay.
And you do that anyway, even if you don't have rich pins, because if you don't, like, so say you go to my blog and you click like, oh, here's McCall doing trapeze, and you click it and it just says JPEG 3. That's gonna be the description when someone pins it. So on your website, you always want to give the title, the keyword heading title, the ultimate description. If you use WordPress, Yoast has like a Facebook description, like a little meta description, you can make it there.
So it will pull from the OG tags from
Right.
Facebook. Okay.
So, yeah.
So with rich pins, you're saying that you then are able to put, like, say you have an outfit and you want to call it a maxi skirt or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't want that to be able to be searchable.
Right.
And someone to change it to some other content. And so with rich pins, you're able to keep it at that, so
Keep
when
it.
it's searched.
So it has 2 descriptions, which is great for you because and then you have twice as much searchable stuff. But like I said, like, especially it used to be, well it still is, people who aren't using Pinterest as social media, they're just on there, as a pajama person playing around. Those be like, oh, I totally love this. This would look great on Brittany. And that's the description, right? So everyone who looks at it goes like, oh, that's a cute skirt, but that description means nothing and it's not searchable. So with a rich pin, they can still put whatever they want in the smaller description, but that permanent rich pin description stays no matter what. And so both the descriptions become searchable. So yeah, you can put maxi, dress, whatever.
So that's why sometimes when I want to share a particular Pinterest, if I put it on my Facebook, whatever, sometimes I can take off what is said and sometimes I can't.
I'm not sure when it converts to Facebook, but I know that when you're pinning or repinning someone else's stuff, in the act of repinning, it gives you the option to change the description. Or when you pin your own stuff, you write your own description in. So if you're trying to share it on Facebook, you can change it on Pinterest, and then that will be what shows up on Facebook in the description. After we're done here, I'll pull up my Pinterest and show you guys some of the stuff that I'm talking about.
So the concept, and you heard you speak of this before, very interesting, and I know that it's something that I really need to do, but I always use the same square content for my blog posts, and they'll go into Pinterest. So when you do a post, you change it to this new format?
This is a hard thing, especially for people that are setting what their website looks like, because you don't want it to be vertical. It looks better square on your website. What I tend to do, but I have a different following than you do on Pinterest, so this works easier for me. But what I will do is if I want that image to be square on my website, no matter what, I will create a second one and pin the vertical one. It's not the end of the world. I mean, there are some pins that are square or that are smaller that do really, really well because of what they are and what their content is. So it's a give and take of what's more important to you, like having this be pinnable or having this be the look that I want on my website. But you can just go to Pinterest and hit upload image and make your own pin and put in the URL to send it back to your website. So you can have 2 separate images, one that's just for Pinterest. And some people who are smarter than me know how to code on the back end to have, like, if you hit pin it. Like J. Crew, here's one. They're a company that we pin for sometimes. There's only one image of this sweater, right? But when I hit the pin it button, 4 images in 4 different sizes come up, and then I choose the one that's. So if you're smarter than me and you know how to do that on the back end, that's a great way to do it. I can't tell you how to do that.
There's plugins on WordPress that do it.
I have
a couple plugins that do it.
So there you go. So if you can put it on the back, it doesn't have to be the one that they see. It just has to be translating what the content they want to pin is. So like if I read this great article and I hit pin it, I don't care that it's the same picture necessarily because it's the article that I'm trying to share. And with rich pins, there's 5 different kinds. There's a places rich pin that will automatically put a map. So if you're like, if you have a board that's all about Las Vegas, all your rich pins can automatically create a map on Pinterest of where they all are in the city. There's articles, there's recipes, so it will automatically attach to the pin on Pinterest the shopping list that's needed for the recipe. So there's a bunch of different options. I think the other ones are like movie times and something else. So something that I like to use that often.
Thank you.
Sure. So the big play now on Pinterest, more important than how pretty your image is, although your image should be, attractive, is SEO. It is now used by 43% of the people that use Pinterest use it as their main search engine. So what those descriptions that you're putting in, whether in your description or in your rich pin or both, hopefully, need to be keyword loaded. And their search guide now, so if I'm going and I'm searching and I type in tank tops, right? Then a whole row of words will come up underneath the search that says like, tank tops for summer, tank tops for children, tank tops for, and it will list in order of those, how often they're searched. And that's an awesome way to find the keywords that you want to use. So, just one sec. So if I am wondering what the best way to promote this tank top is, I will go and look. I'll type in tank top and see what those first 3 words are and know those are the most searchable with the word tank top. And add those as my keywords. That's another thing I can show you after.
Are those the square boxes that go
Yeah.
horizontally or not vertically?
The horizontal, well, it's different on your phone or on, than on the computer. But basically, if you go to search in either your phone or your computer, it will show you what's trending immediately. So, without typing anything in, it'll show you what's trending on Pinterest. And then if you type in something, it will say those boxes, and then you can also choose if you're looking for a pinner or if you're looking for a specific board that, so if I typed in tank top, it would give me, tank top lover as a pinner, or it would give me boards of tank tops as an option too, not just the pins.
Outfits, do stuff.
Right. So when you're setting up your Pinterest account, you want to, we're still on your site. So visibly link your Pinterest account to your site, and you guys all see that on websites where they have the social share buttons. I know you all know that already. The pin it button that you see on images, one thing that people make a mistake of a lot is doing the hover pin it button, and that does not relate to mobile. And like 60% of Pinterest users use it on mobile. So if I'm looking at your website on mobile and you have the only pin it share button you have is on the image, I'm never going to see that because it won't show up on my mobile. So to have it be at the bottom of the share buttons is important too. And Pinterest, on this little URL here, will help you build their own, and they will track if you use their pin it button as opposed to a plugin. They will show you the analytics of their pin it button, and it will also boost you in the search. So once you've set up your website to make it easy for me to do your stuff, and you're setting up your account, you obviously want to have a picture on your account that represents your brand or who you are, and not, a lot of people will just, a lot of bloggers will just start it with their Facebook account and then it's like their kid or them making out their dog or something. So you want to have it be something that represents your logo, or if your face is the face of the brand, have it be your face and not just like you randomly on the beach. And then in the bio, you want to describe who you are, who your brand is, where you are, like specifically say the city you're in, and then what you do, because like I said, pinners are searchable too, and especially on other search engines. So if I type in Google and I hit like Pinterest Las Vegas, it will bring up everyone who has those bios that say I'm in Las Vegas. So I think it's really important on all social media to say where you are unless you're global. You also want to sign up for a business account, and there's lots of reasons for this. The main ones are they have newsletters that they send to people that have business accounts that have all kinds of tips and tricks that other people don't get. And you get analytics, and their analytics are awesome because they break your pins down to what pins are playing best, what boards are playing best, like your audience, who your audience is, where they came from, and then your website, what content is playing best, so you can use that to create future content.
Is the business account just an upgrade of the personal
It's
account? Or
free,
you
it's
have
just
to-
an upgrade, you just register
Okay.
as a business.
So it's not a separate one where you're
No,
running two
no,
things?
although while we're there, that's a really important thing for brands, small businesses, and bloggers to remember, because a lot of times they'll have, this was my personal account, now I have an audience on my blog, so I'm just gonna use this as my blog's account, and it's a blog about cooking, and then I go over there and all your pins are about little kids and, you know, your vacation. Although I like to see who those people are, I'm not going to their Pinterest for that. So you want your Pinterest accounts to be separate than your business Pinterest accounts, very much so. Yeah.
Would you recommend then, I mean, I have lots of boards and so would you recommend starting a new one, and can I transfer any, or would it take very long if things that were appropriate, or?
I guess it's just a matter if you're already there. Like, okay, this is a very good example of where I say do as I say, not as I do. Because I pin for a really wide variety of people, and I have like over 100 boards. Because I pin to those boards for all these different brands. So I'm not representing me as a brand on Pinterest, I'm representing all these people. So don't look at mine as an example. But I think it's okay if you're a blogger to have like, you know, a couple personal ones. If you're a business, if you're a brand, yep, wipe them out, start another one. If you don't want to lose your audience, start another one as your personal one and keep the one that has the audience as your business one. You can, and you can make it easy on yourself by starting a secret board and moving or repinning those things you want to save to a secret board, and then collaborate with your other account and move them from there so that you don't have to sign in, sign out. The other thing is a lot of times people don't realize that you can change the privacy in your settings on Pinterest, and it automatically, I'm pretty sure, says don't show other search engines this. That's a big mistake as a brand because Pinterest comes up in Google searches like crazy. Like if you type in DIY jewelry, there's 3 Pinterest accounts before Martha Stewart's page. So you can be found through other search engines if you tell Pinterest I want to be. And that's a great way to find an audience too. And then always link to your website and social media on your Pinterest profile. Am I telling you guys things you already know right now? Okay. So you can jump in with questions. If you're just starting, I say start with 15 boards, go to 15 to 45 boards, and appropriately categorize them, because like I said, boards can be searched in the search engine, and they give you like 35 options of what the categories are. And so like with their new promoted pins that they're doing and their new interests, I think is what they're calling it. So like I went in and I'm interested in parties, right? So then instead of my feed being what it used to be on Pinterest, which is only the people I follow all the time, just the people I follow in chronological order as they're pinning it, now it's like 50% the people I follow in chronological order, and 50%, this was also pinned in parties, this was also pinned in kids' clothes, and they will share all these other people's pins, people I'm not following, to try and help build those people and try and help me see outside of my own little bubble. So they do that based on how you've categorized your boards. So it's really important to categorize your boards just so that you're found by the people that are looking for your kind of content. And then titles and descriptions are super important on boards for the same reason. Use searchable keywords as your title. Like, even a lot of people will be cheeky, you know, and they'll just name their boards like something that is funny but really doesn't say in a search what it is that's on that board. So, like I have one that's all tarts. So it's titled "You Are Such a Tart." So I can be cheeky and I can still get the word tart in there. So you always want to have those searchable keywords in your descriptions on your boards, and in your titles, because that will help you come up in those search engines outside of Pinterest and in the search within Pinterest. And then this one is more for bloggers, or well, I guess for smaller businesses too. Have at least one board that's specifically only your content. So if you go to mine, my very first board is McCall of the Wilds. My blog, it's only my content, that's it. Every time I post something, it goes right to that board, and then I repin it to other boards later. But that is where it always goes, is that first one. Because when people are browsing and just, randomly stumble across me, I want them to see this first. This is who I am, this is where I want you to go. So always have your own stuff. If you're like a bigger brand like J. Crew or whatever, and they have seasonal stuff, or they have sweaters, and they have so much stuff that it all can't fit into one board, and that makes sense not to have it. But if you're a smaller one, always have your stuff, your product, your content first. Okay, so now that you're set up, we start pinning. As a brand, pin or repin 15 to 25 times a day, every day. Do what you can, right? I don't always follow this myself, but we do what we can. And there's schedulers, and I'll list them for you guys at the end, that you can set up, and you can recycle your stuff through schedulers too, so you're not having to be always on Pinterest all the time. I have always said pin 20% your own content, 80% other people's content. I'm kind of upping that a little bit, so 20 to 40% your own content. And the reason is because once I've seen your product, I've seen your product. I know who you are, that's awesome, great. I saw it, I pinned it 3 times, I'm done with you, and I'm moving on. If you're pinning other people's content, I'll stick around and see what else, because I know that the stuff you're pinning that's like-minded to what brought me to you in the first place will apply to me. So, so say you're, I'm sorry, I keep reverting to the bloggers, and I know you guys are other stuff too, but, so if you're a blogger and you're a food blogger, if you're pinning your own content, you're only posting 3 times a week. If you're just only pinning your own content over and over, you're gonna run out. And so when I look at your feed, it's just gonna be like, there's that pie again. Oh, there it is again. But if I'm like, oh, that pie looks good. Oh, this pie looks good too. I'm gonna follow this pie board. And then, as I'm seeing all this other content, I wanna stick around. Also, with search engine, if I'm typing in pie and I see a raspberry pie and I'm like, oh, it's on this pie board, and I come over here and it's your board, but it's not your pie, I'm gonna start following that board. So if you're pinning content that's like-minded to the product or the content that you're selling, then it will help you to drive people to your boards, and once they're at your boards, they'll see your content. Does that make sense? Okay. And then spread out your pins, those 15 to 25, throughout the day. Most people are on Pinterest about 14 minutes at a time. So, like I said, that, that feed is not just chronological anymore, but if you're just pinning, I'm bombarded with you in between all the other stuff they're sharing me. So spread it out. I usually do 5 pins at a time. And I don't use a scheduler, I use a VA. But I know a lot of people who use schedulers, and it's like a 1 time a week they sit down and set their scheduler. So I would definitely spread it out over a couple times a day. What time of day doesn't matter as much as it used to, because they're sharing their stuff in other people's feed that aren't following you now too. So really SEO is the main thing. Play to your demographic, I said. Here's another thing, you can rearrange your boards with the seasons or with what's trending. So if, there's a big thing about Nike right now and I have a board of Nike shoes, and I can put it at the top for, while that, is trending, and then I'll move it away later. I always rotate with the seasons. People are looking for things to do with their kids. I put, summertime activities at the top during the summer, Christmas at the top, in the winter. So you can rotate that, and you can rotate your board covers. So when people are coming to look at your profile, it's not the same thing that they're seeing when they look at those boards all the time, every time. Not that I have all of your boards memorized, but it's nice to switch it up to what's trending or what's new that you love that board relates to. And like I said, it is okay to pin the same thing to multiple boards. So like with my content, I always pin it to my board, And then a couple days later, I'll pin it to another board it applies to, and a couple days later over here. And then when Christmas comes around, I'll bring that post back out and pin it again. So it's okay to do it, but just spread it out so you're not spam, spam, here I am. And a lot of small businesses, if you go look at their boards, even though their feed is not all the same, their specific boards are all like 5 pictures of the same product over and over and over. So you want to spread it out, and it's okay to delete old pins. So you can recycle them.
Nicole, when I'm subscribed to one of your boards and you can,
Yeah.
do 100% of your subscribers get notified? Or is it kind of like where Facebook is now, where you're only getting maybe 5 to 8% of all the people subscribed there?
You'll see everything, well, okay, so it's more like Twitter, where it's a constant changing.
Okay.
So it's there, and you'll see it. So if you get on and you scroll through the last day's worth of stuff, you're gonna see everything unpinned in that day.
So
because
I'm
you're
gonna
following
get, as your follower, I'm gonna get 100% of what you post, not a percentage.
Right, but you won't just get what you're following, you get the other stuff in there too. So what I pinned in the morning might be so bumped down that you don't see it necessarily. So it's really just a matter of how much time my followers are spending scrolling through their feed. It's there for you to see it on your feed. It's just a matter of like how much other crap has happened
Well,
since
that's a
then.
big positive for Pinterest,
Right.
because we're down to less than 5% now on a personal page
Right.
that is even being seen by anyone,
Right.
no matter how far down it is.
And the other positive for Pinterest is that it just has a really long tail. So like with Twitter, you know, like I said, I mean, if I'm gonna scroll all day, I'll find it eventually, but then it's lost forever. I'm not gonna go back and go to your profile and scroll through everything. With Pinterest, like I can get lost in one person really easily and look at all their boards, and that's not going away anywhere. And it's still in that search. So I can type it in and find it in that search. So our pins last way longer than other social media.
That's a good justification right there for investing the time.
I think it's a huge, I'm biased because I love Pinterest and I make my money on Pinterest, but it is like neck and neck for like 3rd most used social media, and it sends more of an audience to outside publishers than Twitter. It's like 3 times as much. So that, when you're going on Pinterest, like yes, there's some channel people that are just romanticizing and going like, oh, that's pretty, I'm gonna save it. But mostly they're going there, like I said, like almost half of them are using it as a search engine. So they're going there to have a question answered. And they're gonna use that search engine and they're gonna find you, you know, where that's not easily done on the other social medias. Yeah.
What did you mean by outside publishers? 3 times?
Well, like outside websites. So I'm going there not just to look at pretty pictures, I'm going there to find something. And it's not gonna have the answer on Pinterest. It's going to send me somewhere else. That's the whole point, is you click on the picture and it sends you to where that content is. So those outside publishers, like on Twitter, you're like, oh, that was funny, oh, I'll read this. And those links don't get clicked as much as on Pinterest. I mean, not everyone who pins everything is immediately clicking. Like, you know, they're saving them for later, or they think that's pretty or whatever. But it is 3 times more likely that they will click on your pin and go to your site from Pinterest than from Twitter.
Well, I always click on the picture and go and see if there's a like site. and
Right.
save it. And then some of them are, I don't know, spammy or scary, and they say, don't pin this, I think I don't put it in my board. or
Right.
something else.
Well, right, and and that is something we'll talk about too, but that's something, right here, actually, where I say avoid dead links and shortened links. Pinterest marks those, as spam. So when you're pinning your content, you want to have the full URL for your content in there. You don't want to use like a bit.ly. And they will mark them as spam, and that's right, it gets lost. So it's important that you know that your stuff is going where you want it to go and it isn't being marked as spam. Another thing on Pinterest that will get you marked as spam is too many hashtags. Hashtags suck on Pinterest. Don't use them. There's no need. The point of a hashtag is to bring up other content that shares that hashtag, right? Your keywords in Pinterest do that. So if I type, like if you use hashtag cute shoes, and I type in hashtag cute shoes, it's just gonna bring up every pin that uses the term cute shoes. It's not gonna bring up only the ones that use hashtag cute shoes. It's gonna use the term. So And if I'm like on your profile and I'm like, oh, these are cute shoes. Oh, hashtag cute shoes. It will take me to the search engine and it will take me away from you to go see other people's cute shoes. And you want to keep them at yours. So the only time that you should use a hashtag on Pinterest would be if it's like specific to your brand, if it's a contest that you're having on your site or something where you're the only person that's going to use that phrase, and maybe it has a time limit. So there's one right now that, who is it that's using it? I keep using J.Crew, it's probably them. But it's like, enjoy your journey or something, and that's their hashtag that they're using, but it's because that's the group of clothing that they're selling, is like these outdoor activity clothes. And all of their social media shares just that hashtag. But honestly, it's really kind of useless on Pinterest. Oh, okay, so also, yeah, to your product page instead of your landing page. So a lot of bloggers will go, well, if I change all of my URLs and it will lead to my landing page or my home page, and they're gonna love me and they're gonna follow me. But I'm on Pinterest and I'm typing in, you know, a search and I find that pin and it takes me to your homepage and not the content that I'm looking for. I'm like, well, this was a waste of time, and I go back to search on Pinterest. So you want to give them the content on the page that it leads them to. That is the content that made them want to go there in the first place. And actively pin to all your boards. If you have boards that you're not using, there's some exceptions. Like I'm not pinning for Halloween in January, but if you have a board that you started that has 5 pins and you haven't looked at it in 6 months, it's useless. Just delete it or move those pins somewhere else. Because I'm gonna go, oh, they're not really active, maybe I won't follow them, or I'm definitely not gonna follow this board, it's pointless. Because on Pinterest you have the choice to follow a person, which follows all of their boards, or just follow specific boards. So if I look and I'm like, oh, well they have 6 boards, but this one's never used, I'll just follow these 5 or these 2 over here, as opposed to follow all. With follow all, if I follow all of your pins, all of your boards that you create in the future, I will automatically follow. Whereas if I'm just following your Christmas board, you create a new one, I have no idea. I have no idea who created it. So you want people to follow all. There's also, I don't know if it still exists, but I think it does. There's a landing page for Pinterest. I think it's just we'll look at this at the end, but I think it's just Pinterest, your username landing page. And it's just a URL that will take them to your name, your bio, and a follow all. And it doesn't show any of your boards or any of your pins or anything. So you can put that on your Twitter and say, hey, come follow us, and it will take them to your landing page. They'll hit follow all. They don't have time to like get lost in the deep hole of Pinterest and forget that they came there to follow you. So we'll look to make sure that I have the right URL there. So in growing your following, a lot of people don't think of Pinterest as social media necessarily, like as an interact with other people. But almost everyone that I follow because they commented on my pins. I have too many people following me. I have like 245,000 followers. And if I get a notification for every time someone repins my shit, I will never see my real email. So the only notifications that or most people that are bigger than me get are if someone comments. Because we don't want to desert you if you ask us a question, you're interacting with us, we want you to know, look, we're here we are, we want to know what you have to say. So unless it's like, oh, this is cute, Brittany will love it, then, you know, if it's like a significant comment, I go and I interact, and then I'm like, oh, who did I interact with? And I start following that person. So reading comments will help you build your following. You can track who is pinning your stuff through the analytics, and also just by typing in Pinterest. And again, we'll check this because it's been a little while since I've taught a class. It's either your URL and then source. We'll look at it. But there's a URL that you can use that will show you all of the pins that came from your URL. And then you can just be like, hey, thanks for pinning for us. And so they might have repinned it from someone else's board, but if you're interacting on the pin of yours that they pinned, they'll go, oh, who was this? And they'll go and look at your profile and they'll start following you. So it's kind of like a little celebrity, talk to me. I'm gonna go over here now and look at them. So I always say, thank your people, go and see who's pinning your stuff and interact with them and have them come and interact with you. And then I think it's a good idea as a brand or a blogger to constantly be following and repinning for new people. So this new smart feed that they have is annoying to a lot of people because they're like, I didn't follow that person. But for me, I'm like, great, a new person I can interact with and they'll come follow me. So I say, you know, if you have the time, 10 to 15 people a day to interact with on Pinterest. And always just find those like-minded people because you're more likely to pin their stuff and have people that are looking for the like-mindedness come and follow you. Promoted pins is a big theme now. It's the paid version of, it's like the Facebook and you pay to promote. So those get a lot more play than the organic you follow parties. So if a company pays to promote pins, they get seen a ton more. Working with influencers like myself is always an option too. You don't necessarily have to go through the marketing company that I work with, although they're great, and they're great at helping create content. I'm sorry.
When you promote a pin, is it only going to people who are already following?
No, it goes to the world.
Okay, so it goes beyond the boards that somebody has already signed up
Oh yeah,
for.
like it's their whole, it's where Pinterest is putting their, you know, that's where they're putting their backing right now. Yeah, so you'll be seeing way more if you promote a pin by people that don't already follow you. Yeah. Working with influencers is a great way to get out there. One thing that I really love to do, and I know a lot of like bigger bloggers do with brands, is have a collaborative board. So you can put across your social media, we're working with, you know, we'll use me, although usually it's someone bigger than me. But we're working with McCall this month to put together a board for you guys to see all of this genre that we're working on, you know, to tie together what, I'm trying to be vague because you guys are all vague in what you do, but, so like, I did one for Paramount Pictures when the Ninja Turtle movie came out. So we shared a board where I put together a kids party. It was all Ninja Turtles. It was all around the premiere of Ninja Turtles. So I created it so they got my followers, and I found all the pins that I knew my followers would love. I did all the legwork for them. And then I said at the top, you know, with Paramount Pictures, and then they had it on theirs, and they promoted it on their social media, and it drove people to their Pinterest. So that's an option too. And collaborative boards, there's a lot of people who use collaborative boards. I don't particularly like them because they feel really spammy to me. You can have like thousands of people on one board, and a lot of people do it. A lot of like smaller businesses will do it, and it's just like disjointed, and it doesn't all have the same, you know, feeling to it because it's so many different. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for you to bring that up to ask about that because I'm constantly being invited to join other people's boards.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was a good idea because of course it gets, you know, my pin maybe out there to more pinners. But the more it happens, it's like I have all of these fashion boards that are trying to make me, you know, and so it clutters my particular board.
Yes,
and
it
so
does.
it doesn't seem like a good idea in the end. What do you think?
So here's the thing with collaborative boards. First off, people are confused about the way collaborative boards work. When you're on a collaborative board, you do not automatically have the audience of everyone that is on that board because like, so for me, for instance, I have like 244,000 followers total. I have about 165,000 that follow all my boards. Mm-hmm. So if I join your board that you've created, those 165 will see that, and the rest of them won't because they're not following all of my boards. So it's really limited. It's not like everyone, you know, this person has a huge following, and a lot of people have like a huge following on one of their boards. You know, so like they'll have 200,000 followers when you look at the top, but really they have like 150 that follow all their boards. So it's not necessarily what you think it is. The other thing with collaborative boards is like it just completely fills up your feed, like you said, right? And a lot of times they have rules about what you can and can't add, and you're not adding enough, and it becomes like such a political pain in the ass. It's not worth it.
Basically, I never pinned them at all.
And do you ever see your own pins on there? Because you pin it,
I never
and there's
did.
600 other people pinning at the same time. Like, I just pinned it 5 minutes ago, and I can't even find it on this board anymore, you know? So for me, collaborative boards make sense in small groups, and maybe only 2 or 3 total. Like, what they started Pinterest out as is not what it's evolved into. And when they started collaborative boards, it was like, you and your friends can throw a party together and you can all share. So I like have some of those, or like me and my sister are planning this party, and it's just a couple of us, right? But those bigger ones are like other bloggers that help each other promote each other. What we're doing is we're sharing secret boards.
Oh.
So I have like 3 or 4 secret boards that are my help each other social media groups, and we pin everything that everybody pins to the appropriate boards that we have, so that it's going to the right audience, and it's going to all of my followers and all of her followers, and because I'm pinning it. So yeah.
A secret board, how are other people seeing it?
Nobody's seen a secret board. Well, you can share a secret board. So if the 3 of us are on a secret board, we're the only 3 that see that, right? But then I take your pin that you put on our secret board, and I put it up on my board. And then you take mine and you put it up on your board, so that we're just promoting each other, basically. So if you find like-minded people that have the same kind of product or the same kind of content, and you want to start a secret group board, I personally think that's better than like bombarding people with like.
So you wouldn't recommend just accepting collaborative?
I don't know what it is.
Oh,
No.
oh.
And you know what? It's actually quite lucky that they ask you to accept now, because
Yeah.
in the beginning you just automatically could add anyone without asking, and I ended up on a ton of porn boards. So I got an education, and then I was like, do you have interest? So yeah, no. I mean, I think if it makes sense to what your brand is or what your audience likes, then like, yeah. I mean, if you personally like the content that's on there, then that's okay. But we definitely wouldn't have more collaborative boards than your own boards.
Okay.
And like I said, I would stick to like maybe 3, and I would put them at the bottom of my feed.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So if you have a collaborative board and it's open, everything that goes in there that these people are kind of spamming into your account go into your feed. But if you keep it secret, nothing goes into your feed until you post it into there by
Right, it's your
voice.
choice what
Makes
comes from
sense.
that collaborative
Makes
board.
sense.
And those collaborative boards that have hundreds of people, that's what they are. They're spam. They're just like, get it out there, to the max, which is fine, and it works sometimes. And sometimes it makes sense for you to be on 5 collaborative boards in the beginning until you have an audience, and then you're like, screw this, we used you, we're done. That might make sense.
So you can get out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, you're like, and I'm done. Totally. There's times where that makes sense.
It was the death of MySpace, which probably has to be something I've never even heard of, but it was the death of MySpace that they did not allow restrictions of that kind of crap, and it just got to the point where you just couldn't get on there.
Right.
And so every social media deals with it, and every one of them now has some kind of a restriction, because that's a nightmare.
Right, and I'm sure you guys have all been through on all your different social medias where they come and they clear out spam accounts, right? So you lost a ton of Facebook followers, or you lost a ton of Instagram followers because they were spam. That happens on Pinterest too. They'll go in, they'll find dead links, they'll go in and find people who are using affiliate links that aren't supposed to. They'll go in and find people who go hashtag crazy or pin the same content over and over, or have nothing but collaborative boards, and they'll just pull you. So if you had 25 pins that were playing really well on that collaborative board, and then it's gone, you can't get those pins and those numbers back. I mean, so I personally find it to be a pain in the ass, because it's just so disjointed, and I think it's better. I'm a female, and so I like organization. I want categories, and I want to find the categories that I'm looking for, and so I think it's better to just have small groups or no groups. I think that's, okay, just a couple little tidbits that sometimes people don't know. You can add a pin it button to apps on iOS and Android. You can pin SoundCloud files, so podcasts and things like that you can pin. And YouTube files you can pin. And on YouTube, you can go in and create a custom thumbnail that is the size of the pin that you want. So it's not just a small little with the play over it, it's like actually the image that you created. And then This is where I make my photos. Canva and PicMonkey. I know the rest of them are stock photos that a lot of bloggers I know use. So if you're looking for, like I said, SEO only works for the description, the rich pin and the description. But those titles on the words really do play well, as long as they're not all words all the time. Unless it's like some kind of feel-good quote, those play really well on Pinterest too. But if you're trying to, like, so say I'm using this, right? This is my image on Pinterest. If that's all it is, and in the description it says stock photo options, it will get found on the search, but it's not that appealing. Whereas if I have an overlay on it that says like top 10 stock photo options, that shit's gonna get played all the time. So just, using Canva or PicMonkey, you can go in and add a little overlay.
So, maybe this is too simple of a question. So then if you're posting that initially to your blog first,
Yeah.
with something behind it, would you want to format it for Pinterest? Is that kind of what
I
you're saying?
do. I can
You
just,
start out that way?
I do.
Canva create.
why make a gazillion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where it just doesn't fit the look of your site, where you just don't like the long or the overlay or whatever. But I don't care, because all of my traffic comes from Pinterest, so let's just be Pinterest friendly from the beginning, save myself work. Everything that's on my website is how I want it to look on Pinterest. Unless you go look at my old posts, don't do that. And these are some, like I said, I don't use schedulers, but these are a lot of schedulers that I know of and have heard things about. Buffer, I know, has like the pin
Can I
and
back you
button.
up one time?
Yeah.
If you made a Pinterest photo, a featured photo, and it wasn't anyplace else, could they pull from there if you pull it into your blog?
Yeah, I mean, it's on your blog, but like I said, it's just a matter of where it will take them. So wherever that image is, that URL, when I hit the pin it button, that's where it's going to take me to. So if it's on your home page, it's going to take me to your home page. So if it's the top of your post, it will take me to that post, and that's what you want.
So let's say I have 10 posts in there. Is it going to pull the first one?
No, it's going to give me the option of all of the images on the website in front of me. So if your homepage has like 10 different pictures and I hit the pin it button, it will show me those 10 different pictures, and I'll go, which one do I
Say
want?
I'm going to a blog post. I might have that, and I might have a video there as the featured.
You can pin video.
Okay,
Yeah.
but could I just set it, the pinnable post as
Maybe
a
have like
featured
a
one?
feature down
Yeah.
there. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
into
mean,
that.
that seems like that might work, because they would pull.
Yeah, I
they
think
pull
you're
the
probably
featured
right.
image.
And again, I'm not very smart, so I'm not very technical. Well, I mean, I'm not very technical with it. Like, every time I do a blog post, I screw up. So.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a limit on the length of the video you put on Pinterest?
I don't think that there is. I will open it up as a YouTube. Don't quote me on that. But I don't think that there is. I mean, it will open it up. Like, when you click on a pin and then it opens up the pin into the larger size, I think it will play right there no matter how long it is.
And video and.
Well, I guess if there's like it might take you, say you have to click through YouTube at some point, but I haven't experienced that. I think we're at the point where we can go look at Pinterest for a minute.
Great job.
Oh, thanks.
Cool.
Do you guys have any questions? Yeah.
Do you have any WordPress plugins that you can suggest for this?
Typing in Pinterest plugins brings up a list of the top one is top 12 best Pinterest plugins, and they're all pretty good ones.
Yeah, there are good ones. What exactly is it you want it to do? That's the question, because there's a plugin for the button, there's a plugin for the description,
I guess more for the rich
for the
pins.
shares. Okay, the rich pins you have to do through Pinterest itself. You have to have a business account, and then on that URL that we'll find in a second, it will walk you right through how to apply for rich pins, and then it will give you a code that you put on the back end of your website and will make all of your images
Got it.
rich pins.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This might have like obvious answers, but what
Yeah.
businesses are not, it's just not appropriate to use Pinterest for? I mean, obviously probably not lawyers or anything like that, but I seem to be emphasizing a lot on the brands.
That's because that's just my MO.
Okay.
I think that there's room for everyone if they use it smart. Like, I have a friend who's a real estate agent, right? She has a page for her real estate, agent company. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I don't want to go to Pinterest to look at your listings, right? But what she does is she'll pin kitchens and yards and this style of house and this style of house, and she'll have her clientele go and look at them and be like, oh, this is the style I like, so she knows where to
And she
take.
generates that, she generates.
Right, and she uses that across her social media. Like, I offer this service where we can make a board just for what you're looking for. That's kind of stretching it sometimes. Like, marketing companies, like your company, I think there's room for that, because your audience and who you're trying to get as your clientele is on there too. Is on there. Pretty much everybody. I mean, they have like 70 million viewers, so everybody's on Pinterest, you know. And they're using the outside search engines that can lead to Pinterest too. There is a huge group of people on Pinterest that all they write about and all they share is social media content creation. You know, so I really think, yeah, there's certain like doctors. I don't know, the Cleveland Clinic has one, and it has all kinds of awesome information from their blog, and that's great, you know. But like, you know, my pediatrician doesn't need one. So,
Any tips for helping with the cold, tips for helping, whatever you think of any.
I think really what it comes down to is what content are you sharing online?
Yeah,
Because what's the point of only sharing other people's content? You don't have yours.
The real estate lady, does she actually generate web traffic too, or is it just the social media too?
She only uses it for her social media. She has quite a following, but doesn't go into the agents.
How much? Okay.
Right. All right.
There's an agent I follow, and he's back in Massachusetts, named Bill Gassett, and he's rocking on Pinterest.
Really? It would be really interesting to see what it does for his business. You know,
Well,
I don't know.
He comes up as
Well, it's
one
like-
of the top.
Well, it makes you an
It's just
expert.
social media in general,
Right,
it's
yeah,
all
right.
about brand,
Yeah.
brand recognition, so
Right, exactly.
more impressions the
He was
better.
the first one I followed him just on whim. He's the first one that ever tagged me back and said thanks for the follow on Pinterest.
And didn't that make you feel good and want to follow all his boards? I know. I keep telling people, go say thank you.
And he's just posting things about, he's talking to agents, and he's also talking to potential clients about tips in buying houses and tips in marketing yourself. He's just all
Right, and that is the thing. Like, if his website that he personally owns and creates content, and he's offering those tips, then all those other social media, the people that are looking for where he lives, looking for real estate, he's going to be at the top of the search engine.
Right.
I mean, the more content he has out there, the more likely he's going to be found.
I'm not buying anything in Massachusetts, but I'm still following.
Right.
I might have somebody who does. I use NeXtScripts for like reposts into Twitter and Facebook and other things. Pinterest is a paid upgrade on there, and I'm guessing that's because of the size issue.
I don't know that one in particular. What I do know about Pinterest is that they don't give their coding information to outside sources. So all those plugins that people use don't always work well with Pinterest, and Pinterest doesn't track them. So when they're looking for who to boost up and they're trending and in their searches and stuff, they're not paying attention to anything that's been pinned with Shareaholic. They're only paying attention to what's been pinned with Pinterest. So all those outside things, they might be helpful, but I personally think just use what
I think
Pinterest gives you.
NeXtScripts comes from you, right? It
Yes.
doesn't come in,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's not coming from an outside source.
Oh, okay.
It's like OnlyWire is an outside source.
Oh,
I
okay.
understand Pinterest would probably block that. But NeXtScript is actually coming from you,
Oh, I don't
out
know
of your
the
post,
answer to
like a repost, so,
Right.
you think
Yeah,
that?
the reason it's
can-
paid upgrade, in my opinion, because you get Google Plus and
Right, you get
Pinterest
Google
with the paid
Plus and
update.
Pinterest.
And in SEO, those are the only two social networks that count as links back to your website. So they know that
So
people
it must
want
be
those.
that it must be that it's just somehow re-editing that photograph and then pushing it out.
Yeah, well, it does some of the rich pin stuff that she was talking
Okay.
about, and then it does help. You can choose custom photos, you can do all that stuff.
I haven't used that one, but I
You'll
will.
report back to us,
Thanks,
would you?
yeah, I will. That's-
Sorry, I don't know the answer
Because
on
that would be a good one, because
Yeah,
if you're a
we use
blogger,
it.
you can get it out to 40
Right.
places at
Well,
once.
and I know like Buffer is what that one's called. It has a, I played around with it one day and it put this on I haven't figured out how to take it off. But if I click on this, it will give me the option to save this pin and pin it later. So as I'm going through my feed, I can click that and and pin it, set it for Wednesday at noon, and then I can just spend all my time looking through my feed and find what I want and pin it all at once. I personally, what I do is I have a VA for days that I can't be on Pinterest, and we have a shared board that's secret, and I just say, I like all this stuff, and she just goes and moves it from there. So, these are, I was playing around last night when my eyes were going down making a little slideshow, and I found some samples, just things to point out. Okay, so this right here is an ad for kids' room ideas. What? Kid room ideas. So it's going to come up in search engines, right? But I'm not going to click on it because it looks like a cute girl's outfit to me. I mean, it would go in a girl's outfit, right? So you want your content to represent, you want your content to be represented in the image that you're using, even if it is generic, right? So like I showed that girl with her phone, that's a generic theme. But if I put the words over it, then it makes sense. So like, oh, these are pictures we're looking for. So that, to me, is just dumb. It's a great picture, and it would play well if it was about trendy kid clothes. These super long ones, this one is not condensed, so I'm not sure why, but I find them to be such a pain in the ass because they fill my feed. And this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures of the process of making these chips. That's 4 different images that I could pin on 4 different boards. So I make one pin for the same post instead of making 4 pins for the same post that I can spread out and I don't have to see the same picture in my feed.
There's some that there seems to be a natural progression and you feel like you need to pin all 4.
I know, and I took 3 really cute pictures of this hairstyle, so I need all 3 of them to be there because they're all cute. No, I don't need the natural progression. I need, these are homemade vegetable chips. And here's a picture of them. The end. I don't need regression because it says on, well, it should say on the word, how to make homemade vegetable chips. Or that's what the SEO says. If I know from looking at the picture what the content is, if the title is there, the SEO is there, that's enough. And if you're gonna do these ones where it's 4 pictures in one, do them short, like, I think there was one up here. This back to school crafts one that your kids will love, right? This girl is actually, she teaches Pinterest and she's kick-ass. My Life in Kids is her blog, but so she did it like this. So they're smaller, but it shows that there's like a whole list of them, right? And then in her description, this is a rich pin, by the way. So this is her permanent description that's not going anywhere, and this is the one that everybody can change. So she wrote both of them, and she wrote like, oh, I especially love number 5, because then you're like, what's number 5? And you want to go and look, right? So it's got the hook, and it tells you there's a number 5. It tells you from the picture there's a lot of them, so you know what the content is that you're going to get. But then I could go in and hit repin and completely change all of this to like, number 5 is the stupidest thing ever, and that's the end of the description. That means nothing to anybody, So you want to have that permanent. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can only use rich pins if you're in a business account?
Yeah.
Okay, and so just a quick question about business accounts, because it's actually, my Pinterest is actually asking me to switch over. And so if I were to switch over to a business account, let's say my business changes, can I change the name, or is this business account going to be just for?
You can change the name.
Okay.
One thing that I learned, the URL at the top there, so I used to have my name McCall H, right? And then I switched it to Mama McCall because when I started being a blogger, I thought I might be anonymous, and that left. Yeah, so I switched it to Mama McCall, and then I was like, well, that was stupid, and I went to like change it back, and somebody else had the other one. So it changes the URL when you change the name. And what that will do is then change all the places that you've shared. So like Business Insider wrote about me being one of the top 20 Pinterest people like in the first year. And it said McCall H. And now when you click on that, it leads to someone else. So when you find that, so you gotta be lesson learned. And there's things I've learned like my Instagram and my Twitter are 2 different names because I'm a dummy and now I can't change it.
So the URL will change automatically, and I can change that. But I can change, like if I want to change my business name, the website, the business type, I can change all of that. And so, okay. And is there anything else that with a business account? Because I know with Facebook, like you switch from a profile to a page, you lose
Okay, so it's very easy for me to say, no big deal, but who's to say what happens in a year, right? Because with Facebook, it was no big deal. You wanted to have a date, and now you're screwed.
It's like a mess.
Right. So I can't make promises.
But for now,
it gives you analytics, which here, I'll show you what their analytics are. Pretty awesome. If I can remember where they are. Analytics.
Okay.
Okay, so the analytics, again, I haven't blogged in a little while, but so this is, so it shows your profile, your audience, and then your actual website. And, like I haven't posted anything, this is the long tail I'm talking about, I haven't posted anything to my blog in like over a month. It was like one pin, and it was a couple months before that, but I'm still getting, clicks, and I'm still getting traffic. So then you can go and you can hit more, and it will show you like what your top pins are, and you can be like, oh, my people love making skirts out of bandanas. I'm gonna give more sewing tips, And as an influencer, it's great for me because I can be like, hey, bandana company, my people love this.
So for now, you haven't seen any trickery, just the.
I haven't seen, although the promoted pins are the new trickery.
Okay, yeah, they are.
That's the new trickery.
Twitter's the same way.
Yeah. So that's out there, and who knows what it's going to become. And like as an influencer, it's changing for me because the marketing company that I work for used to use affiliate links on Pinterest, and they're changing that because Pinterest wants to make their own influencer teams.
So last question with that, if I decide to switch over to a business account and then I change my mind and I want to be a personal account, can I change that?
I don't know the answer to that because I haven't.
You have both now.
Is that something you would ever recommend?
No, I just have
doing?
one because I'm the exception to the rule.
And so what should we have?
If you are a brand, I think you should have two. I think you should have your personal one and then your business one. The reason I say that is, like I said, if you're selling a ShamWow and you're pinning about, kids' shoes, like it's a disconnect. But you want to pin about kids' shoes, you freaking love kids' shoes. Your kids, they need shoes. It makes sense for you to still pin those things. There's a reason that you love Pinterest as a user. And then there's a reason that you use Pinterest as a... You don't have to have one, no. I hear you're crazy because Pinterest is fun, but there needs to be a disconnect between you're using it to promote yourself and then you're using it to save really cute hair ideas.
And you can't use it for both.
You can,
but it's not as effective.
it's not, you can. It gets convoluted, that's all, it just gets confusing. Yeah, and if ShamWow was my product, right? There's only so much you can do with ShamWow, but I could have a board that's all about car cleaning techniques, and I can have a board that's all about cleaning the siding of your house. I don't know what the hell ShamWow does, but you can have peripheral boards. So if you're limited in what your content is, that makes a lot of sense to have a lot of peripheral boards. Have a seasonal board. Have a board that's not what you do, but is related to what you do. So I did a campaign for a fast food company back east, and they were having a tailgating season. And so it was all their content was tailgating ideas or whatever. So they're fast food, you wouldn't think tailgating or sports applies, but here they have this tailgating contest, so all of a sudden we have a sports board, So if it makes sense and it's peripheral to who you are, those are the boards that aren't necessarily your content that make sense. Kids' shoes and ShamWow don't, so it's just a matter. And listen, if it's working for you, like I said, I have the option to change it and have my own personal one, but my personal one's working for me. It's getting me traffic, it makes sense. If I look at my analytics and I go they don't give a shit about what I'm creating, but they love this board, I'll probably keep that board because it's getting me traffic. I have a girlfriend who has a really successful cake making business. That's what her blog is about. Her biggest repins come from crochet. So if the audience is there already, it makes sense. If it's not and you're building it, stick to your world. Yeah.
Are you saying affiliates, that's it? They will not allow?
It's changed now, so so the only ones that Pinterest actually really did allow was Hello Society, that I work for, and Art Style. That doesn't mean you can't have affiliates on your site. It means you can't, like, what we were doing was that we would, Paramount Pictures would hire us, and not us, I'm just a pawn, but hire them, and we would track it through Hello Society's site, and then, you know, do all the analytics and all that stuff through Hello Society and send people on. So now it has to go directly to Paramount Picture, and everything we do has to go to there. But your affiliates on your site, like if you have ads or whatever you have, it's not like Pinterest, you can't post to a page that has affiliates on it. It's just that we can't be paid that way.
So if I add a picture of a, you know, barbecue grill from Amazon on my board, and I'm affiliated to Amazon, and it goes through to Amazon, I can't link that to SN.
No, it's okay. You can pin whatever's on your site. It's just
You're saying like a third-party API.
Exactly.
That's it. Okay. Very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I know there was things I said I was gonna tell you guys, and then I don't remember what they are. I just pulled these up to like give you examples of like good and bad ideas. So like this 5 kids, this one right here. If you just saw this picture, you wouldn't know it was giving kids self-confidence, right? But with the words, it makes sense, and that's a great image, and I'm going to repin it, and that's great. So that's kind of what I was talking about. You don't have to have it be exactly your content to represent your content. These ones up here, this grill one, I think this was a promoted one. It was a promoted one, and in my opinion, it's a wasted promoted one, because when you read this, it is not going to come up when I type in clean my barbecue. I mean, no rough edges to cut you, metal bristles falling in your food. I'm going to type clean my barbecue when I'm looking for something. I'm not going to type in like, I don't want to get cut.
That was written by an engineer.
It's a great sales thing, it's great, and it can be on there underneath. Best way to clean your barbecue. That should be your first sentence, that should be your keywords, should be at the beginning. And you can have up to 500, but you should probably only have like a couple sentences, 2 to 3. And like this cucumber one was another example. Like that picture means nothing to me, and it's great that your grandma used to make that. That's awesome, but what? So to put something like this over it that says, you know, cucumber salad, family tradition, whatever. So, and I think that popcorn one was another one that just pissed me off. Oh, hashtag. Yeah, the hashtag. And look, here's my website. You know what? Here's your website right here. And when I click on this picture, it immediately takes me to your website. You do not need to write your website in there. It's spammy. I have an opinion. So, yeah, so that's, anyway, I don't know why I pulled these ones out. They just stuck out to me last night.
What about the 99 ways? What's your comment on that
Where, which one?
one? Green.
Oh yeah, well that's like a smaller one, right? So on my mobile, when all these big long ones are filling up my mobile, I only see like 3 or 4 images at a time, and that one is half the size, and I'm just going right past it. Plus I just don't think it's pretty, it's product instead of lifestyle. If I was holding this and cleaning my car and it said 99 ways to use this, number 5 is awesome, you know. The word is fine, it's the picture, it's product instead of lifestyle. They just don't play well. People want pretty. They don't have to be beautiful. Like I have a friend who has a pin that is like viral that's about making your own pickles by adding cucumbers to pickle juice that's already existing in a jar, right? So it's a picture of a jar and a cucumber and a knife. It's not that pretty, but it's like crazy viral because I guess people like to eat pickles, but you know, because it's a lifestyle instead of just a pickle. All right.
Cool. Any other questions?
So if things come up where you have questions, feel free. And like a long time ago, I thought I might have a Pinterest blog. It only has 3 posts. Talkfumes.com, but it will have like some tips that are like the basics of creating pins on there.
Cool. You want to post your slides on it too or something? We'll share it out.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Well, thank you. Next month we'll be here again, so see you then. So much. Thanks, everybody. There's a couple over here. There's 4 little ones.
I thought actually writing stuff. Something